Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 23. In this one, we are going to basically continue doing what we've been doing, namely the coastal train ride, the power station, etc. Also, I did manage to learn how to make those waterfront buildings work, and that is on the docket too. I'll explain when we get to them. And lastly, it has been brought to my attention that those flowerbed mods made by Rob have been changed since the last time I checked on them, and they are now completely free to build, meaning they are like dirt roads, and don't need any construction. So we can start placing them without the need for helicopters. Which is extra good for us, since they mostly make sense in spaces that are densely packed, and helicopters have a hard time operating in those kinds of environments. First things first, let's at long last rename our old track layer. If you remember, I did mention that I wanted to call it Little Drummer, since it did its best work around Christmas time, so I thought it would kind of fit. And it has been suggested that maybe we should place one of those text signs in front of it. I completely agree. Next, I also mentioned in the last episode that I wasn't really happy with the current state of the upper part of the coastal rail tracks. It went up way too suddenly, maybe keeping it only a couple lines above the other one will do the trick. And yeah, I am bothered about the trees being too close to the tracks, so let me quickly go over the existing tracks with the tree remove tool. So, let's keep it a bit more parallel with the other lane, but still allow it to forge its own path. As usual, working around exposed bedrock is a pain, but thankfully it is much less bothersome if we use the yellow ghost images for leveling them. It would take considerably longer if we use the regular terrain tools. We have a small ravine here. I think a small bridge is in order. Not bad, but later I will end up straightening those curves a little, so the bridge is a bit more tall. Let's just get rid of this small bump, and we can continue. If you recall, we stopped working on these tracks in the last episode, because we reached the limit of this free construction office. So, in order to continue, we need to build a new outpost. These are all temporary roads, so I am not really bothered about making them look nice. Only needs another gas station, and that's that. Now we just send over the vehicles, wait for them to arrive, and we can carry on building. It is a bit of a hike for such slow machinery, so let's see what we can do in the other parts of the Republic. Like this bridge. I said I would make it a bit less curvy, so it would look like it made sense to build it. Honestly, I could have easily used the yellow ghost image to level the terrain, but that would have been a bit boring. As expected, the power station will be done real soon, but I decided to wait for the first freight trains to start running. I would be more comfortable with keeping it running 24/7 if we didn't rely on road vehicles for the coal deliveries. I will likely still add a couple trucks, just in case, but the bulk of it will be done via railroad. Speaking of coal, in order to make that work, we need to continue building this branch. But I also want to focus on the tracks around the distribution offices, so while I unpause these, they will be set to low priority. And the sign is done. Looks good to me. And I finally remembered to fix the trees around the display. Let's see if filling in the background is enough. If not, then we will think of something else. Now, onto the waterfront embankments. Basically, in order to make them look nice, first you need to raise the terrain to the desired height, and level out the entire area, covering the entire footprint of the building. Don't be shy, just make the leveled out area as big as you can. It only need to be completely level, not a single bump to be found anywhere. Then you start placing the elements together. Just like everything else in the game, if you want to align them perfectly, you will need to eyeball the connections. Maybe a small curve here will look nice. 2 of these will make the boardwalk curve into the dry land, and then 2 going the other way will turn it back and follow the coast. One more long piece, and that will do it for now. I don't think I will continue building this any further on this side of the island. We should just build an end piece. Of course, it will carry on to the east side of the island, so I will leave this end open. Now it just needs the footpath connections, and we can wait for them to be built. Technically, we could start lowering the terrain now, but I prefer to reveal the finished article, so let them get built for now. And yeah, those footpaths were overkill, but might as well do all of them, so we don't accidentally miss out on any of them. One of the rail distribution offices is done. Let's give it a new coat of paint, and by the time we're done, the other one will be finished too. Now about food. As it turns out, we are making more than enough to satisfy our current rate of consumption, which means we can safely start moving some of the crops into the fabric factory storage. Our current biggest import is electronics. I'm not sure we are ready for that kind of industry yet. It's a pretty big production chain, including plastics, components, etc. At most, we could lower the cost by assembling them ourselves, but that's about it. We would still need to use foreign materials. Anyways, let's take a look at those flower beds. As I've said in the intro, the creator of the mod, Rob, has changed the way they work, and they are now completely free, meaning they don't require construction. They are purely cosmetic anyway, so it's perfect. Now, I will not go overboard with it today, only a little bit of a test to see what they would look like in action. In hindsight, I think it would have made more sense to get rid of the ground textures, align the flower beds to the building, and then redraw the walkways after that. I still might do that in the next episode. Having them at a slightly off angle bothers me a little. But they do look real nice, don't they? Maybe we can use gravel for these playgrounds now. Sadly, since the existing trees were removed by all this new development, we cannot plant any more until the game is reloaded. So it's waiting time again. But regardless, I'm really happy with how this looks. I can already tell that in the next episode, we can expect a little bit of extra decorating. Great, the earth-moving machinery has arrived to the next outpost. Let's continue. I think we will need to do a bit of island hopping to get to the proper mainland, but that's fine by me. I think the lower lane can go around this big hump in the terrain, but the upper one might need a tunnel to navigate through it. Those should be the landing places. This tunnel didn't really want to cooperate in this current arrangement, so a bit of extra groundwork was needed. If it curved a bit more inward, then the tunnel entrance wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb. All it needs is a small platform, with a wall more or less facing the other end of the tunnel. Okay, the other side is way too high. Let's try again. Much better. Not the final one though, it will have to be changed in a little bit. The biggest issue we face by building on the mountainside is the constant clipping through the terrain. It will be more of a problem later. Once more, building around bedrock is such a pain. But we can make this turn much more gentle if we put in the effort. And this is why the tunnel has to be redrawn. We cannot remove nodes underground, but with the entrances facing the right way, it's an easy fix. You know what? We are making so much food at this point, that we might as well start selling it. But before we do that, we should stop using a dedicated line for the deliveries. At first, I wanted to wait for the trucks to drop off their cargo, then I remembered that they are going to a completely full warehouse. We could wait forever, and they would never be completely empty. Conveniently enough, we have 2 distribution offices at the farm. One of them will be responsible for keeping the town warehouse full of food. The other one, however, that one will move the excess production to the border. But only if the farm warehouse is more than 50% full. I would still like to keep a sizable stockpile available if possible. I really should have added a notification if that one gets empty though. Let's hope I remember to add that warning in the next episode. If we ever start consuming more than what we make, the farm warehouse will empty first, so if we get an alert notification, the town warehouse should still be full, giving us plenty of time to react to the situation. Anyway, that should give us a little bit of extra income. We have a nice big empty field coming up on the coastal train ride, so the lower lane might as well descend all the way. As for the upper lane, the gap is just too big for a bridge, so it will just keep following the contour lines. Uh-oh, that rocky cliffside does not bode well. Yeah, that clipping is horrendous. If we tighten the curve, it will move the level terrain further in, and when we go wide again, maybe the clipping will be less aggressive. There. That's a bit better. Very, very far from perfect, but we have a working theory on how to fix it, so we can work on it later. And once again, we are at the limit of our latest construction outpost. Hey, look! The coastal embankments are done. Time for the final step of construction, the lowering of the coastline. I know, it's a bit counterintuitive. Every other building in the game has a well-defined footprint that requires completely level terrain. This one is different. Once placed, there is no footprint, and the ground can be changed to our heart's content. So far so good. Let's get rid of the dirt footpaths, and let's see if we can make proper connections to them from the road. Unfortunately, there is no real equivalent texture we could use. The concrete pavement doesn't really fit, and the asphalt is just too dark. The best one is gravel, unfortunately. I will deal with the curved pieces in the future, maybe once the area is a bit more built in. I didn't really want to just fill in the empty space between them and the road with a texture, so I opted for some greenery instead. Let's start with a couple acacia trees for now. While removing the grass from the other pieces, I got an idea. Why not try to clip some of the grass through the green lawn on the embankments themselves? Let's see if that works or not. We already sold quite a bit of food, and made some good money from it. Not bad. Okay, the track layer started building the long tracks. Let's not do that yet, focus on finishing the important bits first. I've been arguing back and forth with myself, whether or not to start using personal cars. And the fact that I decided to build a parking lot should tell you which side of the issue I landed on. For now, only the power plant will allow this functionality. And since we are still at the mercy of foreign imports when it comes to vehicles, the bulk of the workforce will be going there by bus. But hopefully, we can slowly move on to using cars only for this facility. Next, I wanted to get one more thing done, namely the power supply for the rail network. Ideally, I wanted it to be close to the power plant, and this is where I decided to do it. Dealing with the curvy tracks was a bit of a headache, but we will get there in the end. Not quite what I'm looking for. One more try. Close enough, I guess. Now the power. Thankfully, it has 4 connections, same as the power plant. We can just use those to power the rail network. That should do it. We have quite a jumble of wires around the power plant, but if we separate the high voltage from the medium voltage lines, they are more organized than they first look. Before the episode was over, I really wanted to take a snapshot of the waterfront. Using that truck didn't really give us the angle I wanted. Let's try one of the pedestrians from a local housing block. That's it. Exactly what I wanted. And the grass sticking through the embankments turned out pretty good. It just needs a tiny bit of trimming and it's all good. But let's do that later. The episode is almost over, and I wanted to do one last thing before we leave. All these embankments are technically outdoor sports facilities, and they need power to work. Since the current town transformer is completely full, it's time to build a second one. This substation is still connected to the old transformer. I think it would make more sense if it was hooked up to the new one. Once everything is built, we can change up the wiring. And since that will free up a connection on the old one, we can build a new substation to take advantage of it. As usual, we are building the rail network in stages. Once every track segment is done, we will start working on electrifying them. As we've learned from the last series, it's faster to do it this way. Unless the devs also change the way this works with the new track layer AI. I haven't checked yet. We have so many places where we can place these flower beds. Can't wait to get to working on that. But that will have to wait until the next episode, since this one is now getting close to the end. I'm really glad we managed to build an adequate firefighting network. And cannot wait to start using helicopters. That will be so much more efficient. Look, we have over 300 tons of fuel in the storage tank. We are making more than we can export now. A really nice problem to have. Even with the power plant construction, we managed to avoid taking out more loans. That's a big deal. If such an expensive building can go up without needing more money than what we're making, we are doing quite good. But that will have to do for today. We managed to give ourselves quite a bit of work for next time. We will need to continue working on the rail network, both in terms of planning the line going further inland, as well as keeping the track layer going. Apart from the tracks around the distribution offices, we have all the segments on the Utegrad branch still to do. Not to mention the ones around the power supply we just built in Kirkomov. Apart from that, our money situation is looking real good these days, so we might be able to afford some extra housing, with services and all. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then leaving a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. If you are more in the donating mood, you can find a link to my Ko-fi page in the description, where you can buy me a glass of water. I don't really drink coffee. Thank you for your support, and until next time, I will see you later.